What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here, and this is Gotham Season 2, Episode 12, Mr. Freeze. So, I'm going to talk about Mr. Freeze first, because this is kind of what the episode was riding on, going into it. I knew Mr. Freeze was coming, seeing all the previews about it, I knew he was going to be a big thing. And by the way, just quick mentioning, kind of interesting to see how the first half of the season was Rise of the Villains. Now it's Wrath of the Villains. That name tells me something's gonna happen. Anyway, but so Mr. Freeze was kind of the big talking point going into this. How is he gonna be? Is he gonna be a good villain? Are they gonna use the actual Mr. Freeze? Because we've had like some knockoff villains. Like we had a knockoff Scarecrow that actually turned out to be Scarecrow's father. We had Jerome instead of the Joker. We had that girl Firefly instead of the... I don't know, maybe she's the new Firefly, I don't know. And then we had a couple others that were like a pre-Bane type strongman type thing. So, going into this, it's kind of like, what are we going to get? What we got was pretty freaking awesome. This episode is such a good setup for the rest of this season, because there's so much to talk about and so much that they're doing well right now. First of all, talk about Mr. Freeze. It is Victor Fries. They made a very specific reference as if to say, hey everybody, it's not Victor Freeze, it's Victor Fries. Okay? I don't know if that's actually how they... I don't know if that's actually his name in the comics, but they made a very specific point for Harvey to say, it's not Freeze, it's Fries. And then they talk to the wife, it's like, is it Freeze or Fries? She's like, it's Fries. I'm like, okay. So, I've got it. You don't have to say anything else about it. Anyway. But we are getting Victor Fries. We're getting his wife, Nora, being the cause of why he becomes Mr. Freeze. The fun thing about this is, I already know like the Mr. Freeze storyline just from playing the Arkham games, watching a bit of Batman the Animated Series back in the day. So, I know his story. I know that his wife has this incurable disease, and so he freezes her to keep her alive. We're getting the wife pre-wifesicle, which is kind of fun to see. Which means we're going to get to see when she does become the wifesicle. That's going to be fun. And in fact, a lot of what he's doing right now is he's trying to figure out how to freeze her without killing her. Because he has all of these different formulas of the liquid helium, something like that. I can't remember what it was called again, but he has all these different formulas that he's trying out to see if he can reanimate them, and none of them are working. And so he finally gets one that works at the very end of this episode. And so for him, that's kind of exciting. But it's just fun to see. First of all, I'm excited to see it just because I'm excited to see him become Mr. Freeze. Because even in the previews for the next episode, it looks like he's in a Mr. Freeze like his machine suit or whatever. I really hope they have the Mr. Freeze suit. That would be freaking incredible. But I don't know if it's gonna be the actual suit or if it's gonna be like a preliminary suit before he has the Mr. Freeze suit. Either way though, it's gonna be cool. No pun intended. But most of this it's a very well set up episode because you have him kind of trying to figure out this formula. His wife is sick. He's having to take care of her. Meanwhile, in the basement, he's trying all of his experiments on these people. They have that one kind of cliche character. It's the guy who's a jerk to the villain. So when the villain takes him out, you're just kind of like, don't really care. He kind of deserved it. So you have that guy. He's the pharmacy doctor that Victor goes to get the wife's prescriptions filled at. And so you've got That ends up being the guy actually that the reanimation part works on. So you've got all that going on. They finally figured out, like from the prescription and the medicine that he needed, they figure out that it's Victor Price doing all this stuff. They go to his house. Nora has found all of this experimentation in the basement. One thing I didn't really understand is why she was taken in. Like, it made sense after she decided not to help them find Victor, but before they were talking like, you realize you're going to jail, right? I'm like, why? She had nothing to do with this. But then after she's like, my husband did all of this for me. I can't betray him. I'm like, okay, so now she's going to jail. Anyway, so they've got all this figured out. They bring in one of the doctor, and then he reanimates while he's in the autopsy room. Another thing that didn't really make much sense was how they have all these guys claiming to be Mr. Freeze, and then one of them kind of gets up and just walks out, and nobody says anything. And on top of that, when he comes in and says, "Yeah, I'm the one that's been freezing people," the other guys that were saying it looked kind of crazy, so I understand not really believing them. But then this guy comes in and is just like, "Yeah, I've been freezing people. I need to see my wife, or I need to talk." I don't know if he said I need to see my wife, but he said I need to talk to Detective Gordon. And what's his name? I think his name's Alvarez. Is just like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure you are. Go and sit next to the other Mr. Freezes." I'm like, this guy doesn't look crazy, and he's got pills in his hand. Maybe you need to take him a bit more seriously than the other whack jobs that you got sitting right there that look homeless and look like they just want attention. Anyway, so that was a little strange, but that's one of the two nitpicks on this episode. Ooh, 1 second. Anyway, yeah, a little bit tired. So you've got the Mr. Freeze storyline. It ends fairly well because he sees the reanimation and kind of walks out like, "I'm coming to get you, Nora." And so that's kind of setting up for next episode where it's very clear he's going to kind of go to get his wife back. Going to be fun to see. Meanwhile, you've got Jim kind of suffering the repercussions of the last episode where he killed Gallivan. I don't know where this is going, but it looks awesome. They're asking him all these questions at the beginning. Wait a second, again. Well, I don't know why I'm so tired. Probably because I didn't sleep well last night. Anyway, so you've got him suffering the repercussions of that. They're asking questions about what happened, the case, what did he do after Barnes got knocked out, and he's lying his way through all of it. This is not the Detective Gordon we come to know. He's lying about it all and seems fairly convincing doing it. I'm just like, what's going on, Jim? This is not you. You're not a killer. You're not a liar. You're supposed to be a good cop. So, obviously later on, he becomes the Jim Gordon from the beginning of the season. But I like where they're taking it, because they're taking him through this phase where he's kind of become not a good guy. He's become a corrupt cop. That's a good way to take it. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this and what's going to happen next. Because there are a lot of things they can do here. Crap. I don't know why. I'm kind of frustrated with myself. Anyway, so they're kind of taking him through that whole thing while going through the case as well. They bring in Cobblepot, and Cobblepot kind of reaffirms his story, so that's, he's safe there. Speaking of Cobblepot, first to start off, I thought it was really funny. They bring him in, and we've seen earlier in this show where anytime they bring in like a big bad guy, we're like, yeah, woo, yeah, we got him, They bring in Cobblepot, and Barnes is like, "We got him, guys," and they're just like, yeah. He's like, "Silence! What do you think, this is a game? This is our jobs." I'm like, whoa. Like, that's awesome. Because, he really is kind of a cop. Like, you think about how the cops have been in this show. First of all, they've been corrupt. Second of all, they have kind of been a bit, yeah, woo, we caught the bad guys. Barnes has come in and kind of instilled a fear in them where it's like, this is not fun and games. This is supposed to be our job. We're supposed to keep people safe. Let's take it seriously. So that was fun to see. But then Cobblepot ends up in Arkham Asylum. And who should appear but Hugo Strange? Holy crap. So much to talk about here. I'm excited to see where they're going with this. Because Hugo Strange is kind of he's a doctor that has the mentality similar to the League of Assassins, which is, this insane people, these crazy people, the evil in the city kind of mixes together. League of Assassins say the evil of the city. Hugo Strange is like, he sees all these insane people in the asylum. He sees it as a sickness. Like, it's more than just, oh yeah, they're just crazy. No, he sees it as a sickness that needs to be cured using psychology. But at the same time, he's kind of insane a little bit himself. So many good scenes in this one. I mean, when Cobblepot is in his office and they're talking, it seems like Cobblepot thinks he's in control, and yet every single word out of Hugo's mouth just sounds like he's got complete control of the situation, and he is directing this conversation. And even how it ends, Cobblepot pours himself like a little glass of, I don't know what it was, maybe whiskey. Probably not, though. It was probably something fancier. Anyway, he pours himself like a little glass and takes a sip, or no, chugs it. And then Hugo Strange, a couple seconds later, is like, well, it looks like that's the end of this meeting. And Cobblepot looked like he was just getting comfortable, like he was getting ready to talk a lot. And he's just, I guess that's the end of this meeting. Grabs the glass out of his hands, and then kind of gives him a little speech about how you're just sick, And Cobblepot's like, wait, what? I'm not sick. And then Cobblepot's walking back to the cells, or to his cell, and the one guy that was acting really crazy earlier, Cobblepot came in and the guy threw pie in his face and said, "Penguin pie, huh?" And he was acting really weird and stuff. Penguin's walking by his cell and he hears him talking to himself. He's like, "Nigel?" And then he turns around. His eyes have been clawed out. He's like, "See no evil, be no," or I can't remember what he said now, but pretty much what Hugo said about see no evil, he took that literally and clawed his eyes out. I was like, oh my god, what the heck? Holy crap. Oh, I'm not okay. That's crazy. I mean, they had some really crazy moments. The what's his name? The doll maker, Duelmacher, whatever they called him. The scene where they showed his creation was kind of like, oh my god, that is freaking insane and creepy. This is another one of those scenes where as soon as he turned around and had blood on his hand, I'm just like, drop my phone. Anyway, so yeah, really, really crazy scenes. A very good episode to kickstart the second half of the season. I'm excited to see where they're going with this. They've got so much going on. Hugo Strange finds out about Mr. Freeze, his reanimation thing, and it's kind of like, what? I haven't gotten close to this cryogenic, whatever, reanimation. And so you can kind of tell that he's going to be involved there as well, where Jim and Harvey are going to be trying to catch Mr. Freeze. Hugo's going to be involved somehow too. And just, kind of interesting, this whole Indian Hill project, whatever. Kind of interesting to see where that's going. They've got all these people here. Don't really know what the purpose is and what they're trying to do here, but you can tell he's got a creepy, crazy plan going on. It's going to be very interesting to see just where all of these storylines are going. You've got Jim lying about what happened with Gallivan. You got Penguin inside the asylum. You got Mr. Freeze. You got Jim and Lee, having a baby. You've got crap. I can't remember his name now. It just literally slipped my mind. Oh, Lucius. You've got Lucius. He was talking to them about these projects that Mr. Wayne shut down. This sounds like it's going to be something interesting too, because he's like, Thomas Wayne shut down several projects. Some were a bit crazy. Obviously, one of these projects affected Freeze in some way. But I'm curious to see these other projects they shut down and if they're going to become kind of a bigger deal later on. So you've got that. You've got Hugo Strange and his Indian Hill project. It's all kind of intertwined together. It's not like you have this story, you have this story. No, you got this story that connects in here, connects in there, and it's all woven around into one epic story. I'm excited to see play out. No sign of Bruce Wayne or Alfred in this episode. Not a big deal. I do enjoy whenever he's involved, but I don't want to see too much Bruce Wayne because this story is about Jim. You could say that this story is about several things, but honestly, it is mainly about Jim, and that's why in the first season people didn't really get involved as much because it wasn't really focused. It was kind of like, hey, look at Jim. Oh, and look at Cobblepot. Oh, and look at Fish. Oh, and look at Falcone. And oh, look at all these different stories. It was like, who are we supposed to focus on? Now they've really focused in on Jim Gordon, and kind of, even the stuff with Cobblepot, it's still based off of Jim's actions and kind of what he's doing. So it is all connected to Jim. And I like the fact that they're a bit more focused now. But it does kind of leave a question: where is this all going? And I guess that's where I'll leave off here. Let me know down in the comments below, where do you think this is going? Do you think they're going to end with Bruce Wayne leaving to become Batman, or do you think they're going to go maybe a little bit farther? Maybe they're going to stop a bit sooner. Who knows? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. What did you think of this episode too? And what do you want to see next with Mr. Freeze, Hugo Strange, all that stuff? Leave a like and subscribe for more Gotham content, and I will see you at the next review. Peace out.